Hi, I'm Larry London. On today's Border Crossings, a 7-time Juno Award winner and 2-time Grammy nominee with the Barenaked Ladies, we welcome singer-songwriter Stephen Page. On tour for his 5th album, Discipline, Heal Thyself Part 2, Stephen and his trio will join us on today's show to discuss his departure from one of Canada's most successful bands of the last 30 years, along with performing music from his newest album. In March, Stephen Page reunited with Barenaked Ladies for their induction into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. And to mark their 30th anniversary, please join us for a very personal look into the life and career of Stephen Page on today's Border Crossings.
Well, that's because it's true.
Hi, I'm Larry London. Welcome to Border Crossings, and we are thrilled to welcome into our studios on tour for a brand new album, a guy whose name and voice you know. Stephen Page is in our studios. We welcome you all the way from Canada to Washington, D.C.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you here. And the last time you were here was 12 years ago, I guess?
Something like that.
Wow. You don't look a day older.
I feel a lot older.
And a lot has happened in that amount of time. But congratulations, first of all, on getting inducted into the, I guess it's Canadian Music Hall of Fame.
That's right. Yeah,
Huge honor.
Yeah, big deal for us. It was along with my former bandmates and Barenaked Ladies. They inducted us this spring, which was surreal and exciting. But the most surreal part, I think, was when they unveiled the plaque and you could see everybody else who's in the Hall of Fame. There were only 50 other musicians in it, including like Glenn Gould and Oscar Peterson and Rush and Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, and there's like us. It feels completely out of place.
Well, certainly with the Grammy nominations, all the Billboard Awards, and certainly I was counting, I think 19 Juno nominations, of which you won 7, so you definitely earned your right into the Hall of Fame there.
Well, it's nice to be there.
And you did get back together with the Barenaked Ladies.
Yep, for a couple songs that day, and that was a pretty joyful time. It was nice to be able to do it.
It's been a long break. There was a number of years between seeing the guys or at least performing with them.
Yep.
The question I'm sure that has been asked since that time, is this going to lead to anything more with Barenaked Ladies?
To be perfectly honest, there's been no talk of it. I mean, the only talk of it I think I've seen has been quotes from me in interviews, which just means like I'd be happy to do more stuff. I'm not looking to rejoin the band, and I know they don't want me to, but like if this opened doors for us to do a bunch of things together, whether it's a one-off or a charity event or something like that, I think a lot of the water that's under the bridge, being together this last spring to do these 2 songs at the Hall of Fame thing really helped us realize that we could put a lot of that behind us. It's 9 years though between being in the same room as them and then getting back together.
There's a lot of maturing, growing up, and things like that goes on in that amount of time, and hopefully a lot of forgiveness. I know,
and forgetfulness.
Well, hopefully, yes. There was some legal issue that took place back a number of years ago, and so you say the band wouldn't want you in. I mean, you were instrumental. You wrote all the songs. You sang the songs. I mean, they're not the Barenaked Ladies without you.
Well, they say they are, and I have to respect that. I believe that they've worked super hard over the last 9 years to maintain their career and their stature as Barenaked Ladies. So I think I think we're all pretty happy with what we're doing now. That's all I mean by that. That I don't think they're like, gosh, we got to get Steve back. But I think that whatever stumbling blocks there were in the way or bitterness, that started to dissipate, which is nice.
That's great.
You don't want to leave. You don't want to have enemies.
And so now you've got some clothed people with you. They're not naked. And do you have a name for your trio? Have you? Because I can't find a name anymore.
I know. We call it the Stephen Page Trio, which is such a boring name. It sounds like it's some kind of like serious jazz thing, and we're not that serious. This is on my right, on your radio left, and television left. There's Craig Northey, who's also my production and sometimes songwriting partner from the Vancouver band The Odds, and on the cello is Mr. Kevin Fox. Kevin, I've been playing with. I've known both these guys for over 20 years, but I started playing with Kevin the instant I left Barenaked Ladies. One of the first calls I made was to him to see if he would play with me on a tour across Canada of folk festivals and so on. And then I started doing duo shows with Craig, and then realized we could make a super group of 2 duos which equals a trio. Hence the Stephen Page Trio.
And you've got a Kevin Bacon lookalike in the band, too.
Kevin Fox / Kevin Bacon, huh?
Well, we welcome you to our studios, and I'm very excited to hear the new music, and we'll talk about the new album, but if you wouldn't mind doing a song.
Sure, thanks. This is called Gravity. So this is how the whole world ends, when all mankind at last repents for self-appointed governments that make no sense, and hence we no longer rise to their lives. And pay no mind to scientists who hide the truth behind a mist of fancy words and mind twists. We can't believe you're buying this, 'cause you were wrong, we knew you were wrong. Yes, all along we knew you were wrong. We sing this song to prove we were wrong. We were wrong, we knew all along. And all I can be is what God tells me to be. And now we live in a world where they've outlawed gravity. Yeah, we live in a world where they've outlawed gravity. Pythagoras and Copernicus, just mortal men like the rest of us. We let them get the best of us, and now we failed God's test of us, because we were wrong, we knew we were wrong. Yes, all along we knew we were wrong. We sing this song to prove we were wrong. Oh, we got strong from being so wrong. And all I can see is what God tells me to see. And now we live in a world where they've outlawed gravity. Yeah, we live in a world where they've outlawed gravity. Calculus and astronomy, the Pebbleside Deuteronomy. We banned the drugs and the sodomy, and now we fixed the economy. Because we were wrong, we knew we were wrong. Yes, all along we knew we were wrong. We sing this song to prove we were wrong. 'Cause we were wrong, 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 wrong. And all I can be is what God tells me to be. And now we live in a world where they've outlawed gravity. Yeah, we live in a world where they've outlawed gravity. Gravity! Oh, if he wanted you to know the answer, don't you think you'd have to do the cancer? If he wanted you to know the answer, don't you think you'd have to cover cancer?
Woo! Yes, yes. They're cheering all around the world. Stephen Page is here on Border Crossings. That sounded great.
Thank you.
Now, can you define that kind of music? I mean, how would you describe your music? Because you came from a certain lane, a certain sound that had its description, its format box.
Sure.
What you're doing now? I mean, what would you?
Well, I think even in Barenaked Ladies, we tried to kind of experiment with genres as much as we could, and I mean that's certainly has all kinds of Latin influences, elements of Cuban music, and so on. But I kind of think of it as like Hollywood Cuban. It's kind of got this cinematic feel to it, and that's what I was going for when I wrote that song and was recording it. Was trying to make it feel as much like something that might have been out of some kind of 1950s Hollywood scene in Havana.
No, I liked it. I mean, that's you have a great sound. You always have. I mean, I've always enjoyed your music, and your voice
Thank you.
is ageless. You still, I mean, sound great as always. Now, the album Discipline, Heal Thyself, Part 2. This is your follow-up to the last album, Heal Thyself, which came out 2 years ago.
Yep.
And so now we've got Discipline, Heal Thyself, Part 2.
Yeah, I wanted to make it easy to say.
What exactly? What's the healing all about? All this healing. You need 2 albums of healing.
We all need lots of healing.
Well, you're from Canada. You're okay.
That's true. Well, that's why I can afford to have 2 albums of healing is because of all the universal health care that's up there. Right. They're like, God, just keep healing yourself. It's fine. For me, the biggest thing was I think we have in our culture this idea that you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and that you have to take care of yourself and that you're responsible for your own well-being. And I think in some ways it's true. It's true that you do have to actually have you have to make the decision to live a good life, to improve yourself, to be, whether it's mentally or physically or spiritually healthy. But really the real thing that I've learned over the time that especially the time that I've been a solo artist, is that, you can't really do it yourself. Being a solo artist doesn't mean being alone. It's not necessarily lonely. I mean, everything I do, look to my left and right, is collaborative. And being solo really just means being able to make the choices of who and when and how you collaborate. And that's been kind of the greatest gift of being a solo artist, and probably the best gift to my mental health, too.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad you touched on that, because I did want to mention that you were diagnosed as bipolar. You've talked about that openly before. So is this album also about healing Stephen Page? Is there any personal cathartic value to what the songs you're putting in this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I had written initially, and I had written along with Craig a few years ago, what was going to be kind of like this double album. And I thought, that's just too much material. In this day and age, the way people consume music, to try to get people to listen to 25 songs all at once is, A, feels arrogant on my part, and B, feels like an exercise in futility, a way to kind of like, dump all your hard work down the drain all at once. So I kind of split it up into 2 packages, and then and the first one really is about like, my mental and spiritual health, and learning to kind of heal and trying to figure out what it is to be an artist too. Like feeling like that an artist's life in this day and age can seem to some people that it's indulgent, that it's not essential, that it's privileged. And here I am going, but it's hard work, and trying to reconcile that on record. The second part has evolved over time. It ended up changing significantly since I started making it, as I started writing new material. And I realized that this record is more about trying to figure out what's the role of an artist. Like how much of yourself do you give away in your music? How much personal information do you give? How much of your value system and your political thoughts and your sharing of your own personal experiences? When loved ones hear your music and hear their own experiences inside your lyrics, you wonder how much are you using the people around you for fodder. So it explores those kinds of questions.
And now, in recent times, we've lost a lot of great musicians who have dealt with the pressures that you're kind of describing of this industry, this business. Chester Bennington and Avicii, and as of late Mac Miller, and it's just an ongoing story as we become more aware of mental health. I mean, so what does bipolar mean to Stephen Page? Because I've heard many different definitions. I mean,
I have a love-hate relationship with diagnosis in general. I think as a culture and as a medical system in North America, we rely far more on diagnosis than they do, for instance, in the UK or in Europe. And I think sometimes people can start to identify as their diagnosis, like it's somehow who they are, as opposed to an opportunity to identify how to navigate the world and how to get or stay or maintain your own whatever level of mental health you can get to. So for me, it's about peaks and valleys. And I hear people who are in the creative world talk about bipolar as if it's some kind of gift. I disagree. I mean, I would always take the middle of the road if that was available to me. I always feel like honestly I make the best creative choices when I'm in the best mental frame of mind. There's something romantic. We tend to romanticize the tortured artist or the manic episodes or whatever else. But honestly, if I'm writing and I'm manic, I'm writing terrible stuff.
Really?
And not finishing things. And if I'm depressed, I'm not writing anything. I'm just
Right.
I'm just a lump. When I have the energy and the clarity to do it, I'm thankful for the fact that I have the experience of the highs and the lows. But if I had a choice to not have them, I'd take that choice.
And your kids have been very supportive to you. I
They
read
have.
where you survived this whole thing because of their love and support for you.
Yeah, and my friends and my parents and my wife and I've been very lucky to have some wonderful people around me when I've needed them the most, and I'm always thankful for that. But I have young adult children, and I'm always kind of like pestering them, checking in on their own mental health too, which
Right.
they'll never tell me, but that's okay.
Stephen
But they know it's okay to not be okay for short periods of time.
Stephen Page is our guest. Discipline. Heal Thyself Part 2 is the name of the new album. Album number 5
Yeah.
in your ongoing catalog of music that's growing ever larger with every single year that goes by. If you wouldn't mind doing another song, we'd like to hear some more music.
There's a new one called White Noise. It's about to get nice. It's about to get real nice. Right now. Right now. Gonna make you swell with pride. To learn this bigotry on many sides.
White noise,
Oh yeah.
white noise,
Oh yeah. Apparently to fix your nation, you gotta run it like a corporation. The kind you don't mind burning to the ground. I've had to learn to bite my tongue, or you'll send me back where I came from. I'm telling you as an immigrant and a Jew that I'd be more than glad to replace you. Throw away the Bill of Rights for anyone who isn't white.
white noise,
Right now,
white noise,
right now. Let's have a second civil war.
the second civil war.
That's what the Second Amendment's for.
White noise,
Oh yeah,
white noise,
oh yeah. Set the snowflake to the nationalist. I won't cease till you desist. You raise your flag, I'll raise my fist. Resist, resist, resist. I've had to learn to bite my tongue, or they send me back where I came from. I'll tell you as an immigrant and a Jew that I'd be more than glad to replace you. Whoa!
white noise, white noise, white noise, white noise.
Stephen Page. And the band live here on the Voice of America. You guys sound great.
Thank
really.
you.
I like that sound. And, for those that are tuning in and they're saying, I know the voice. Well, 1 week and it's all been done before and pinch me. This is the voice right here. This is the guy who gave us those hits. Was it a big adjustment to go from, you reinvented yourself. You had to kind of reinvent yourself to go off and become Stephen Page versus Stephen Page, a part or an extension of something else.
Right. And it also took me a long time to kind of be okay with being Stephen Page, formerly of Barenaked Ladies. Like, it'll always be attached to my name. And as much as, early on, I really wanted to establish myself as my own thing. They didn't say Peter Gabriel, formerly of Genesis, for that long after he left.
Right.
But, I was in that band for 20 years. Not Genesis, but Barenaked Ladies. I was in Genesis from, in their worst years. Like the last 20 years. But, I realized how much that music means to people and the memories they have of whether it's coming to shows or just listening to the songs and how they've resonated with them, that I've learned to be incredibly proud of that as part of my history. So I don't mind that being attached to my name. But the culture of being in a band for 20 years, from the age of 18 to 38, I had no idea how to be an adult without being a Barenaked Lady at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that did take me some time, for sure.
Do you do any Barenaked Ladies songs during it? You do?
Well, we'll even do one for you to finish off tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Why not?
It's unbelievable because, we had Stephen and the band here 2006 or 8, somewhere in that area. You had just put out your first album, and it's like, wow. For me, it's a page out of my past history to have you back in our studios again. And as I mentioned at the beginning, so much has happened. And you started off playing at home, and your dad was your drummer.
Well, my dad would sit in the basement and he played in wedding bands and that kind of thing, and he would sit in the basement behind his drum kit and make me go through sheet music and play songs and sing them. We had a microphone that I'd plug into this little Ibanez guitar amp, and my microphone stand was a wire coat hanger that I'd bent to hold the microphone around my neck. And the thing is, I'm a terrible piano player, and I was even worse then. So I'm trying to read sheet music for standards and stuff, and then the occasional Lionel Richie song. But my dad would just sit there behind the kit, and he would just wait for me to try and find that. I'd be looking for the next chord, and he'd just wait. And it taught me a lot about how to be a musician, waiting and listening, and also other people's expectations in the band of what your role is. It taught me a heck of a lot. And I'm very grateful for it.
Now, you're also a tremendously talented songwriter, obviously. What do your favorite part of this? Is it the songwriting or the singing? Which, if you had to pick one or the other, and you couldn't do both, you had to do one or the other, what would Stephen Page pick?
Well, the singing feels like it may not be a thing I can do forever. You'd get older and your voice changes. Mm-hmm. But there is nothing. I think there is nothing better than the feeling of singing, especially with other people, whether that's with an audience or with a choir or with a band. I always encourage people to just find an opportunity to sing. Whether it's around a fireplace or a church choir or whatever else. That feeling is one of the greatest feelings on earth for me. Writing, I don't love writing. I love having written. Once I've finished writing a song, that's what I love. It's this is great, and I'm happy to play it and happy to hear other people have other people hear it. But the process of writing it is almost never pleasurable.
Are you writing a musical?
I am. I'm actually writing my second one right now, but I wrote one with Canadian playwright Daniel McIver that was commissioned by the Stratford Festival up in Canada. Hopefully the season 2020 is when we're looking for it to be staged, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah, very exciting.
Wow. Now, the current tour that you're on, is this a world tour?
We just did the UK and Ireland in the summer, and we're doing the US all the way until December. Almost all the U.S. will probably come back and do. We're missing the Southeast, so we'll come back and do that probably earlier in the new year. And then Canadian tour is in May, and then whatever other countries will have us after that.
Well, I know Canadian musicians. Wow, you guys are taking over the charts these days.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like
Drake, Justin Bieber, the list goes on and on. It's
all the artists who didn't have to tour Canada in a van in February.
It wasn't beaten out of them.
Yeah, the rest of us, we're tough because we can drive across Canada in a van in February and play in freezing cold bars and that kind of thing. But people of the YouTube generation, it shows you that music can transcend all boundaries, and that's exciting. That's
All
really
temperatures.
and all temperatures too.
Yeah, you guys did it before there was YouTube and before there was, iTunes and all this stuff.
We got super lucky and worked really, really hard.
Yeah, had to sell albums back then.
Yep.
It's getting harder and harder to do that.
True.
But the new album is Discipline, Heal Thyself Part 2. Would you do another song?
Sure, let's do one by the Barenaked Ladies. One I wrote, I want to say 30 years ago now. Oh, gosh.
Stephen Page, sounding awesome as
you.
always. It's great to have you in the studios. Where can people find the album? Where can Amazon, iTunes, all that? But how about your website?
Yeah, StephenPage.com. You'll find all my tour dates there, and you can buy the album on vinyl or on CD or get a download.
On vinyl.
Yeah.
We're going all around again.
You got
Now
it.
you got to find something to play it on.
Even my first album wasn't on vinyl. The first Barenaked Ladies album was just post vinyl, so it's exciting to have this out.
Well, congratulations on the new album and all the
you.
success. And if people want to see you on tour, again, it's on the website. It's posted the dates.
Everything's there.
What's the date? The website again?
StephenPage.com.
And in Facebook and Twitter and all that. You do?
All those things. I'm Stephen Page. I got there first.
That's right, you got-
STEVENPAGE.
You got the domain. Well, congratulations. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in. Discipline, Heal Thyself, Part 2. The name of the new album. Stephen Page is on tour. Check him out when he comes to you. My name's Larry London, and this is Border Crossings.